I'm Tim. Welcome to my stream. I just wanted to say a couple of things real fast. One, today was chest day, so I did the bench press, did a little bit of chest flies, and I didn't feel really good about the bench press. I didn't hit my goals, but there's always tomorrow. I'll get another shot. Next week, I'll hit it again, and I better do better because I can't always do bad. Sometimes I need to make those big strides to keep going. But just want to talk about one thing real fast, and that's the idea of empathy and the idea that you can't judge a person until you walk 2 moons in their moccasins or 2 miles in their shoes, however you choose to say it or you've learned to say it. Uh, Empathy has been something that I struggled with a lot in my life. I think partly it has to do with when I was a kid. I was smaller than everybody. I was the youngest kid in my class, and I got bullied a lot. It was really bad. It's pretty brutal for the first like 3 years of elementary school, and it kind of made me not really care about other people's like opinions on things or not like other people, and it had a pretty negative impact on empathy. Thankfully, I have a very good wife, and she has spent a lot of time and a laborious amount of hours talking to me and working with me on empathy, and it has been rough. I feel very bad for her on that side. But one of the things I've come to realize about empathy and this concept of walking in someone else's shoes is that it's not about them. For a long time, I saw it as like, oh, I'm doing you a favor by trying to imagine your situation. I'm doing you a favor by being empathetic, but it's not. It's doing me a favor. It helps me in my mental health and my emotional health. If I take that time to try and put myself in your shoes, it helps me more than it actually helps the other person. I feel better when I empathize. And that took me a long time to realize. It was just like, oh man, I don't care why they're doing what they're doing. They just need to stop. But, it doesn't, that only leads to more and more frustration because they won't necessarily ever change. So being empathetic, understanding why they are the way they are. Yesterday, I was at the Children's Museum with my kids, and another kid, a much bigger kid, an older kid, pushed my kid, and I was upset, but kids push kids. I got involved, got my kid out of there, talked to them, and I was really frustrated though because the dad of the other kid, he asked like what happened. I told him what happened, and he didn't do anything. He didn't talk to his kid. He could tell his kid was bigger than my kid. He didn't say anything. He just was completely nonchalant about the whole thing, not the way that I would handle it. And it was very frustrating. I got very angry and very frustrated, and was able to control it. Thankfully, they left like a couple minutes afterwards, so there were, it didn't escalate, but it was really hard. But one of the things that when empathy comes involved and walking a mile in somebody else's shoes, I'm trying to think like and remember that hey, this guy could have a very different life than you. This could be a dad that works really hard for his money for his kids. This is his one day to take his son out and have a good time, and he just doesn't want to be the heavy disciplinarian that day in that moment. And maybe he'll do it later. Maybe he just doesn't believe in doing it in front of other people. Maybe he's a divorced dad, and same thing. He spends all his time supporting two households, and he just doesn't have the energy to engage with his kid in a positive way at that moment. Maybe his partner is not the disciplinarian, and he always has to be the disciplinarian. And all he wanted today was to go out and not have to be the heavy. There's a lot of reasons for why he didn't parent the way that I would parent. And it just taking time to empathize with that again doesn't make it okay. He should, discipline his kid. He should make sure that his kid's not hurting little kids. But it helps me deal with my frustration. It helps me makes me feel better to think about his life and why it might be that way. And I just encourage you, if you're like me and you think empathy could be a weakness, or I'm not that way today, but when I was younger, you think that, oh, I'm doing this person a favor, and why should I do them a favor by being empathetic? That's not the case. And I think part of the problem with empathy is that it sounds so close, like being pathetic, empathetic, empathetic, maybe throwing off some of us. But it's not a weakness on your part. It's not doing them a favor. It's doing you a favor. It's giving you a chance to mentally check in and feel better about the situation. That's how I look at it now, and it helps me a lot. So I hope that helps you. If you struggle with empathy, I hope that helps you. Thank you very much, and have a good day. It's Thursday. Friday's almost here.